Welcome back everyone to theCUBE here at the NYSE. This is our East Coast studio. Of course, we've got Palo Alto and Wall Street here at the NYSE as part of the NYSE Wired partnership with theCUBE and SiliconANGLE. Got a great lineup of 2 days of interviewing the Crypto Trailblazers, people who are making it happen, enabling the mainstreaming of what has already been a great market, but now as the whole world wakes up and digital commerce, digital assets are all on decentralized infrastructure, innovation is exploding, entrepreneurship, new ventures, new money systems being wired up in real time. We've got a great lineup. Nikil's here. He is the co-founder and CEO of Alchemy, one of the hottest companies in Silicon Valley, New York, Stanford, computer science. You got to be smart to go to Stanford. Well, you got some hot venture worth $10 billion. Congratulations, you're powering all the top projects. This internet infrastructure evolution to now crypto infrastructure is changing the game. It's a whole nother dawn of a new era.
Yep.
You're at the beginning of it, and it's still early. It's just getting started.
It's Windows 95 days.
It's like, I know. I mean, so think about just give the stats on the company. Talk about the origination real quick. Just set the table, because you guys are scaling up infrastructure that's going to enable change, developers and solutions. You call it the Amazon for blockchain, AWS for blockchain, which I want to get into because that was a revolution.
Yeah.
Set the table.
Totally. So like you mentioned, went to Stanford. I'd grown up in this super small town in Texas, went to Stanford, met my co-founder there. We were actually, funny story, teaching assistants for the database class at Stanford, which was this Steve Jobs looking back, connect the dots moment. Normally, the database class is 100 students, very easy to teach. That quarter, it was 100,000 students, and it was this thing where they said like online learning, online education, and that was the first time it had ever been tried. Right after that, that spun out and became Coursera, which was kind of the pioneer of internet education. So from the very beginning, my co-founder and I were, number one, thrown into databases. Blockchain is effectively a new type of database. And number two, we were thrown into startup life since day one. We're the kind of the first unpaid interns at Coursera. After that, we spent several years building.
And by the way, database wasn't hot until big data, Hadoop hit the scene.
Exactly. The funny thing was, when I went to Stanford, I assumed Stanford was an engineering school. At the time, all of Stanford engineering, including electrical, computer science, everything, was sub 20% of Stanford. Today, I don't know the exact stats, but I heard it's something like 40 to 60% of people do computer science alone. So it was not cool back. This was the time after the dot-com bubble when everyone's like, computer science is not a thing, and then it became a thing again.
Oh, look at me, how old I am. It wasn't cool when I went to my CS degree. Yeah, but you guys, so you got thrown into it, you connect the dots, and then on this venture here, obviously there was a tough time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you go back to 2015, 2016, the smartest people were working on this.
Yep.
Okay, then it kind of went into this whole regulatory, and then the ICOs kicked in. So, and then it was a dark time, headwinds, and also weirdness.
Yes.
But then now it's with AI, all the crypto miners turn into data centers for AI. Those are same communities.
Yep.
So you have crypto now back to the alpha developers and engineers going, there's some hard problems, and the money's flowing.
Yes, I think it's, you said it very accurately. There were several boom and bust cycles. We started in 2017 when there was the bull run of 2017, fueled by Ethereum in a large way. And what was really exciting to us was, for the first time, there was a new primitive. And when I say primitive, I mean in the programming sense. It's a new building block that allowed developers to create new products. When you think about the big shifts in technology over the last 100 years, there's really three shifts. The first one was the computer, the idea that machines can process information and follow human instructions repeatedly. Then the internet comes along and says machines can now talk to each other and exchange information. That was mind-blowing, right? And then crypto was the first next kind of building block, which was the idea that machines can now transact and exchange exchange value. And if you think about it, even things like AI, which are just so fundamentally going to change the world, AI was built on machines following instructions, machines talking to each other. Like those were kind of the two primitive building blocks that AI was built on. So I think this will unlock a whole new set of applications, a whole new type of applications that were never possible before.
When you guys did your first round of funding around 2017, what was the pitch? If you had to look back at your, I guess what they call it, pre-seed deck?
Yeah,
or
pre-seed deck.
What words were used at the time? Seed, pre-seed?
Yeah,
now it's like super pre-seed.
I know. There was no pre-seed at the time. It was just seed. So it's interesting because before we did this, Joe and I built a lot of consumer apps, and we wanted to make it feel like you live with your friends, and we built a bunch of things, nothing worked, and we built this one app, which ends up being the #1 social app in the world at the time. And the funny comparison here was the idea for the social app, we pivoted like all the time. But in crypto, actually, we started the last pivot we did was we started building this hedge fund data science machine learning platform. Think like Bloomberg Terminal meets like data science. And 1 month in, we said, okay, we're huge nerds, we're engineers, we've coded every single day of our lives for 15 years. If this industry is going to explode and be broadly used, it can't be this hard. It's like really hard for us, right? We have a master's degree in artificial intelligence from Stanford, and it's hard for us to code. So we actually drew this diagram. We call it the 9 grid, where it's like the three shifts in technology: the computer, internet, blockchain, and each one is powered by there's some core technology primitive. So for the computer, that's your RAM, your CPU, your hard drive. But in order to have applications like Word, Excel, Chrome, you have this thing called the operating system. Yeah. So Windows and Mac, and it abstracts the underlying technology, makes it easy for people to build apps. And that's what spins the cycle of innovation. Developers build apps, some more users come, some more developers, and so on and so forth. With the internet, you have a similar structure where you have HTTP, FTP, SMTP, the core protocols which run the internet. But on top of that, you have this business that you've heard of that most people haven't. It's called Amazon. Amazon has 2 businesses, one where you buy things, the other one where they make all their money. Yeah. And AWS or GCP or Azure is what powers the internet. And what we said was, if crypto is going to be widely used, there's going to be a developer platform that will have the same purpose here.
Yeah, what I love about that analogy is there was always that disruptive enabler.
Yes.
Right, the protocols. With Amazon, web services was also happening, right? So you had some syndication capabilities, and then everything changed. What is the crypto primitive? What would you say is that kind of linchpin that's going to be the disruptive enabler, the equivalent protocol? Is it the chain? What is it?
It's, I would say the first one, well, obviously Bitcoin, but the main disruptive innovator was Ethereum. It was this idea you can have a blockchain and you can program it and you can build apps. So when we think of ourselves, we are the middle layer between apps on the top, and apps can be Uniswap or OpenSea, or it can be JP Morgan or Fidelity or Facebook. And underneath, and then we're that layer in between, and then underneath is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, you name it, the chains.
So when the D-apps hit, okay, you saw smart contracts emerge. Yep. Okay, you saw the benefits of distributed, basically, assets.
Yep.
So or data. So the question I have for you, this has come up a lot this week, is everyone says, "What's your moat?"
Yep.
Data moat is talked about most in the AI world.
Right.
You look at JP Morgan Chase; they're going to never leave their intellectual properties, their data. On chain, you now have a data moat potential. Yep. It's immutable. So these are characteristics. How do you see that developing? Because as people start using it, what emerges? What use cases do? Is it more data storage? You mentioned databases. So what is the kind of the first beachhead position or low-hanging fruit that someone might want to...
In terms of applications.
In terms of applications that you're enabling. So what do you have to do to fundamentally set the table to, or building blocks? If you say we're the Amazon of blockchain, they had basic primitives and building blocks. Yes. They were core EC2s, their biggest. What's your building blocks, and then what happens?
Yes, that's a great question. So I would say our building blocks are in a lot of ways similar. So we have 2 kind of core factors, which is how do you read data from the blockchain and how do you write data from the blockchain. So the thing that people don't realize is what we have done effectively is, if you think about Google, before Google, there was all these search engines, right? But the problem was that was pre-product market fit of the internet. And the internet wasn't that big, there weren't scammers, all this stuff. Once internet had product market fit, billions of web pages are created, Google had to do 2 things. 1, create a distributed storage infrastructure that could store the entire web. 2, they had to build a search algorithm that could go find everything that you needed. We essentially did the same thing. We said in 2017, 2018, Ethereum was kind of pre-product market fit to a degree, actually to a large degree. And
it set the agenda though, because programmable was
exactly.
the key.
It's still early. It was like the early 90s of the internet. And what we did was we built this distributed storage infrastructure, and then we built a consensus algorithm on top. And what that has allowed us to do is we think of ourselves as AWS kind of built this hardware layer and then layered services on top. We built this intelligent software layer, and then we layer services on top. So we have a whole suite of different tools for how to read data. You can, if you want to get NFTs, if you want to get your transaction history, if you want to get token balances, if you want to get specific events that are happening on the blockchain. Like if you use, in the early days, if you used crypto apps, you didn't get push notifications when somebody sent you crypto. That's because there's no API on the blockchain to get to get notifications. We kind of pioneered that. We built out the first infrastructure to be an event listener and indexed everything and said, now when John gets cryptos, when I send crypto to John, it'll pop up on his phone.
So you guys essentially saw the kind of the bare bones infrastructure of decentralized infrastructure and the chains that they were on, and essentially build an abstraction, OS layer.
Yes,
layer.
That's the way we think about it. We think of ourselves as an operating system layer over the chains.
Yeah, notifications, observability, measurement, data gathering.
Exactly, all of that, all of the above.
Okay,
and we also do wallets. So now if you want to, JP Morgan just launched their deposit token, and we power all of the back end for the wallets of that.
All right, so let's get back to some of the stats, because you guys have some significant credentials. Obviously, the great founding team. You guys have been working hard.
Tired founding team. We've been working really hard.
It's like a marriage, as you know. It's like, don't leave the dishes in the sink. You finish the code. You have big time fund backers. I mean, how many investors you have? You have also big names in there too.
Yes.
Big amount, 500 million roughly plus.
So we've done about 500 million, and we still have most of it in the bank. Knock on wood. Very lucky. We've been very fortunate to have incredible investors. Pantera did our Series A, and then we had Co2 and Addition and Andreessen Horowitz and Lightspeed and Silver Lake. Just super blessed, and kind of the rock star list of our dream angels. Yes, super. Can only say great things about our investors. All of our investors are fantastic, and we've had a lot of great mentorship. Like John Hennessy, who's the chairman of the board of Google and president of Stanford.
He's a CUBE alumni, by the way.
Sorry,
I've interviewed him. He's a CUBE alumni.
Amazing. Yeah, he's a great advisor. Jerry Yang from Yahoo. We've had a lot of people who've kind of helped us along the way.
I have to ask you a personal question, because I find that my experience is that most entrepreneurs that are technical love blockchain.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, or because people, it's a technical problem.
Yeah.
It's an obvious dot connecting thing.
I think there's this really interesting dichotomy where what I have found, if you primarily, there's people who like it for the kind of intellectual interest. What I have found is Silicon Valley in general was very late to crypto. I call it the WhatsApp effect. So when I was at Stanford, I would go and play Frisbee. Actually, right when I graduated, I'd go and play Frisbee at this one ultimate Frisbee game. And there was this in Menlo Park, and I met this guy, and we were talking about it, and I was like, oh, you should come to this other game. And he's like, oh, but my work is near here. I was like, what's your work? He's like, WhatsApp. I was like, what do you do? And he's like, oh, sweep the floors, whatever's needed. I was like, you're the founder, aren't you? And he's like, yeah. But my point at the time was, I didn't get WhatsApp. I was like, why do people use this? All my friends live in the US. I have free texting. Most of my friends have iPhones. I can just text everyone. It's like, why is this a problem? Then you go outside the US, data is very expensive.
Skype is terrible.
Yeah, Skype is terrible. People live in different countries. You can't do group message across countries. And it's just a problem that you don't experience if you live in Silicon Valley or the United States and you have an iPhone. Similarly, you look at people who are in Silicon Valley and, or in the US, and you have generally, we did have 50% doubling of the money supply now, so it's a totally different story, but generally we have good banking or reasonable banking. You have, a relatively stable dollar currency. And that is not the experience of most of the world. Yeah. And I give a couple examples of this. One, you can go to the stats where 25% of the world, it's actually 24% of adults in the world do not have a bank account, which means you hold your money in physical cash under your bed. You can get robbed. You have to walk hours to pay your utility bill. If your house burns down, you lose all your life savings. And similarly, this concept of hyperinflation is not this thing from 1900 or 1800. Argentina tripled the prices of goods within 1 year in 2023, right?
Yeah. So if you got holding cash, you're screwed.
Exactly, you're literally screwed. So what I have found is anybody who's international just gets crypto way more, instantly, right? And I think, here's a silly first world problem example. I was traveling internationally. My friends and I, we were staying in this house, and it had mold in it, and I was getting really sick, so I had to move to another house. But then it was Friday. I just couldn't transfer the money to the person. It's like credit card, can't do a credit card. They don't have point of sale system.
Couldn't Venmo.
You can't do Venmo. You can't do Venmo internationally. PayPal takes 7%, which is a big cut if you're staying for a week at a place, several hundreds or thousands of dollars. Then we had to go, 4 of us had to go to 3 banks at 10 p.m. in the rain, super sketchy banks, and try to pull off enough money. And we barely managed to do it. And I was like, wow, this is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and now wallets can transfer. You got all the things happening.
Yeah.
All right, so talk about the business. What is the coolest thing you're working on? Why are you guys so successful? What is the core differentiator, value proposition? Take us through the product.
Totally. So maybe a little bit about the scale of our business, where we are today. Again, we've just been very fortunate. We have an incredible team who's worked really, really hard every single day for 8 years. Today, we do over $150 billion in transactions annually. Every country in the world, 100 million end users. So it's very significant scale. Like if you were using everything from, you open your Robinhood app and we're powering the crypto wallet behind there. When Facebook was doing all their crypto NFTs on Instagram, like we were powering all of that. If you're using a stablecoin, we're powering the technology. Two, any NFT you look at, it's like we are powering that under the hood. So it's this.
You become the platform.
Yes,
power crypto.
The invisible platform. Just like AWS is an invisible platform. Yeah. When you open Uber or Netflix or DoorDash, you're using AWS.
So the ecosystem.
I would love to call it that.
I mean, people are on top of it.
Yep.
Leveraging it.
Exactly. So the way that I think about our products is we have like a full, very broad suite, just similar like AWS. So we have your basic read-write products. So there's a standard Node API that everyone uses, and that's where we started. It's very strategic because we said you can swap to us, no changes in your code, and it just works out of the box. And the thing here is like the industry is very early, and we kind of brought our team was like Stanford, MIT, had scaled infrastructure at Google and Facebook, and we spent every single day. And to give you a sense of scale,
you knew the SRE problem that they solved. You knew the problem that you experienced when you were coding, how hard it was.
Exactly.
And you wanted to make it easier. That was kind of like part of the.
Exactly. And to give you a sense of scale, like a large financial institution or financial API company like a Stripe or whatever, I think their last published number was they do, I think 250 million API requests a day. We do it's obviously not one-to-one, but we do many, many billions of API requests a day. So it's like significant volume. Like if we go down, it's not good. Like people will be pissed. A lot of the internet.
So what are you running on? What servers?
So we have a mix. So we chose not to do the hardware layer. So we are a software layer. So we actually have our own servers and.
So your own data centers.
We kind of rent from data centers right now,
okay.
But that's the.
But you're not in the cloud. You're not in Amazon.
We started with AWS, then we went AWS, GCP, Azure. Then now we actually bought a company in Romania that does bare metal, and then we're kind of moving more and more.
You're moving to your own kind of infrastructure.
Yeah, we're moving to our own infrastructure. Today we use a combination of everything.
So multi-cloud when you need data processing, whatever.
Exactly,
kind of thing.
exactly. But we're moving more and more into the realm of building our own. Yeah.
All right, so you got that product. What about the performance? I saw some stats in the news about you guys. You've reduced latency down.
Oh man, this is really cool.
Latency is a huge problem. Take us through some of the advances going on, state of the art.
Totally. So one of the things to think about is when you are in kind of hyperscaling mode, you are building a system. The number one, if you guys remember Donald Knuth, one of the OGs, he was a professor at Stanford. He's like the founder of algorithms. Yeah, algorithms databases.
He was the king.
Exactly. And he has this quote, which I think is very accurate, which is premature optimization is the root of all evil. And that is a tendency that I try to instill on our team of, we are here not to build technology. We are here to build products that actually change people's lives. In order for us to do that, we need to focus on the end result. And if you're moving quickly, tech debt is the benefit you get from, tech debt is what you get from the benefit of being able to serve users. Yeah. So if you look at
drawing that down and managing it.
Exactly. So for YouTube, I was talking to the founder back when I was in school at Stanford. Before they sold to Google, they rebuilt their entire stack 3 times. So over the last year and a half, we actually sat down and took a totally fresh look and rebuilt our infrastructure from the ground up. It was a big project, and it actually used a lot of intelligence we spent powering probably close to $1 trillion in assets over the last 8 years. We took all that information and say, how do we optimize this, and how do we build a really smart system that can serve us for the next who knows how long. So that system, which obviously uses AI and a bunch of different techniques, now is way faster to the tune of 2 to 2.5x. It can go to effectively infinite scale. If you have a product that's used by billions of users, we can handle that. And we have the ability for all these new types of capabilities. If you want today, this is a little technical, but if you want to query data in a certain way, it's very limited in crypto. We have now kind of exploded that out, so you can have very flexible querying of data in any way possible.
So if someone knows SQL, they speak SQL, you can kind of convert that in?
We actually have a product that's similar-ish, but yeah, you can, totally.
All right, so take us through the use cases. I know it's getting late, and I really appreciate you coming in.
Of course.
Great conversation, probably go an hour or more. Talk about the use cases, because the feedback here on this episode of the Crypto Trailblazers is mainstream's adopting.
Oh my
and
gosh.
The platformization is happening. Seeing it in cybersecurity, other sectors in the cloud. But they just want to trade. They want a trading app, or they want to do an institutional deal, or they're going to do a treasury thing.
Yeah.
So the apps, they want to do something. They don't want to actually build a platform.
Yes, they want to use them.
And by the way, it's not a build by decision. It's they don't have the chops to do it, and it takes too long.
Yep.
So they want a platform that's got best of breed everything.
Yeah, totally.
One best of breed element.
Totally.
Everything's got to be solid.
Yep. 100%.
What are they doing with you guys? So okay, they go to you and say, great, you're the leading platform, great performance, good scale, checks the boxes. And what do they run on it? What are some of the use cases?
Great question. So I've never said this on recorded media, which this will be the first time. After the regulatory shift, so basically there's this massive influx of all financial institutions and enterprises. I saw a stat today that 90% of businesses have either deployed crypto or in the process of deploying crypto applications throughout their business. We saw a shift because there was this risk-reward trade-off that completely flipped. In the previous administration, you had a lot of regulatory concern that if you enter crypto, your core business get regulated. At the same time, there's not a big monetary upside that was obvious. Now that's shifted, where Coinbase has proven that you can make a bunch of money, and the administration is way more crypto-friendly. So we had this influx of every financial institution in the world kind of like reaching out and saying, oh, we're interested in this. And we have this kind of 6-step playbook, which we've never talked about, but happy to share publicly, first time. So at a high level, we came up with this in partnership with, working with some of these large institutions. There's 6 steps which you need to do if you're an institution to maximally benefit from crypto. Number 1, you need to let your users buy, sell, or hold crypto in some form. And typically this means a derivative that's easier to use. So an ETF, so you don't have to actually hold the crypto, manage the keys and all this stuff. The second step is you want to let people hold the native asset. So buy, sell Bitcoin, ETH. Third step is you want to take those assets that they have and let them do things with it. So yield, staking, DeFi, loans, exactly. So that's the third piece. Fourth step is if you have a user base, you want to launch a stablecoin, because as we've seen with Circle, incredible business, and if you have a large user base, that game is still up for grabs. It's still the 1995 of web browsers. Like, no one's won the stablecoin business yet. Tether has a very strong lead, but that could totally change. The fifth step is bring your applications on chain. And this is not for the sake of crypto, but for accessing more users. Robinhood's a perfect example. They just announced that they're going to be moving their brokerage product on chain, and now they can tap into more users. They can expand new markets much quicker, helps with regulatory, all these other reasons. And then the last one is kind of the end game, which is super exciting to see, which is launch your own chain and have it become an ecosystem. Coinbase has done this with Base, but imagine if, these are not actual names, I'm making up names because we're under strict NDAs, but imagine if a company like a Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or Fidelity launched their own blockchain. Like, that could very quickly be the hub for traditional finance on chain. So that,
rather than me paying them, I get a yield.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a super exciting.
Interesting. I like your first of all, thank you for sharing that first time scoop here on theCUBE here in New York. So. And I remember during the internet days, Mary Meeker used to put up a slide that said internet population growth.
Yep.
And the function of adoption was based upon the number of people getting online.
Yep.
Okay. What you basically just said is the number of people getting online crypto is exactly the same kind of trajectory. It's a similar phenomenon where if you go in now, you'll benefit from that ecosystem. You'll benefit from those
100%.
users.
And it's a land grab. And it's really interesting. We were talking about this before we went on air, but if you look at crypto, or let's say you look at any kind of social network, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, 0.1% of people are the creators, up to like 1%, depending on the type. If it's a YouTube video, it's a lower ratio, but if it's an Instagram post, more people post on Instagram. 99% of the activity is actually viewing. And that's true across all social media. And that's true across all consumer applications in general, probably slightly different numbers, but as a rule, if you look at crypto, it's the same. 1% of actions in crypto are transactions. 99% are just reads or viewing applications. The 1% is public on chain. We are the only people in the world who see the 99%. And obviously I can't go into like private data, but the general gist you should take away is, as a business, we power developers, and those developers pay us per the number of effectively page reloads. And what we saw over the last bear market was in the 2017-2018 bear market, after that, we saw a pretty sharp decrease in the usage because people were like, crypto's dead. In the 21, 22 market, that was actually not the case, where there was this narrative shift of crypto's not dead, it's just taking a bit longer with regulatory and all these
FTX
things.
happened, a lot of shit
Exactly.
happened.
During that time, we've seen, I don't think I've said this publicly either, we've seen over a 4x growth from the bear market to the beginning of this bull market.
Yeah, and we saw an IPO today at the NYSE. It's later, the market's closed now. It's late in the evening here. I mean, this is now lining up.
Yep.
The
Exactly.
IPOs are lining up. They're real businesses.
Yeah, and even though the price went down, the activity went up, and that was like very exciting to see. There was like sharp anti-correlation.
All right,
there.
so you're in the arena,
Yep.
as they say in the entrepreneurial circles. You got a great venture, great pedigree of entrepreneurs. You got plenty of money, changing the game on the platform. What's the vision next? What's on your to-do list now?
Yeah, honestly, the same as 8 years ago. It's build the best product we can to enable developers to build their apps. Like we are here to serve people building great apps. If you're watching this and you're building an app, come talk to us. Yeah. We're here to help. But the better, it's almost the faster. Like when we release this upgrade, every time you use a stablecoin, it effectively got 2x faster. Yeah. And no one knows that. The people who are using stablecoin in Nigeria, they don't know about us. They don't give a shit, and they just want to use our products in a very reliable, scalable, and fast way.
They don't have a consumer experience. It's slow. It sucks. If it's fast, it's better.
Exactly. So for us, like we are very happy to be behind the scenes. We're not here to be in the spotlight. We're here to be behind the scenes and serve people who are the true heroes who are building the applications.
And your success criteria, your KPI would be happy ecosystem partners, users, people plugging into the system.
Our end criteria is like, we are here to bring this technology to the world. And I think the thing that's really exciting is if you look at who has shaped the world the most. Yeah. Before 20 years ago, it was government, religion, politics. Within the last 20 years, if you ask who has really shaped the globe as we know it today, probably the first 100 people at Facebook, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, and then Bitcoin, right? And that is such an exciting time to live, where we can press buttons on this magic metal box and build something everyone on the planet uses. So for us, it's not about the press, it's not about the money, it's not about the investors, it's really, can we look back on this in 80 years and say, hey, we helped build this thing, which was like the internet and had that big of an impact.
Well, it's awesome, Nikil. Thanks for coming on. Give a quick plug, what you're looking to do, hire, how do people engage with you, what kind of people you're looking to engage with for customers. Give a quick plug.
Perfect. So we power everyone in a broad spectrum of the ecosystem. So what I'll say is if you're an indie crypto developer, come talk to us. We will hook you up with some free starter credits. If you are a large enterprise, we have a special program where we kind of handhold you and for free, no charge, help you build out your crypto plans internally. And then we're always looking to hire. So great product people, great engineers, great marketing, hiring across the board.
If you don't mind, if I can ask, if someone out there is saying, hey, you know what? Computer science is changing, I'm changing, but I'm smart, I want to get in and learn. Yep. Where do they go to learn about some of the cool features?
Great question. So we actually have this thing called Alchemy University. We went and looked at the best boot camps that taught you how to code and build in crypto, and we bought the best one and we gave it away for free. So it's purely to help grow the community. So check out Alchemy University and you can learn.
Great, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for hosting.
Crypto Trailblazer here. The world is the infrastructure defines the future, and as the online population, if I can say that, with crypto continues to go mainstream, obviously the market's voting, it's a major, major tailwind. IPOs are here, real money's being made, the plumbing is being reset, the apps are being rebuilt, again, new apps are coming in, entrepreneurs are cranking away, so we're going to do our best to keep up and bring that with you. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE, thanks for watching.